tell me when your screen says 6:30.
This is the battery life of a Chromebook. It doesn't, regardless of the product, if a Chromebook will. It's buying Toyota. Eventually, no, it's good.
You're good. Here we go. Okay, good. Thanks, Ben. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are the Owatonna School Board. Today is Tuesday. It's May 28th, 5:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and let's start. If you would, please, let's all rise. Join together in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up tonight would be to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next item, item 4 tonight would be the mission moment. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Elstad.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, tonight's mission moment centers itself on high-quality teaching and learning. And I'm going to call these individuals. We're going to recognize 2 individuals tonight. I'd like to call each of them up individually to be recognized by the board. So the first person I'd like to call up is Katie Kudron. Katie is an 8th grade English teacher at Owatonna Middle School, as well as an intro to education teacher at Owatonna High School. She was named the Owatonna Teacher of the Year for 2024 by the Owatonna Education Association. Katie serves on the district staff development team, Owatonna High School equity team, and the Minnesota Educator Partnership Grow Your Own grant team. Her passion for students and her strong encouragement for them to explore the teaching profession is inspiring. I have the unique opportunity every year to speak to Ms. Kudron's class at the high school. And when you look at the way the kids look at her, they are inspired by her. And I think many of them walk away from that class, Katie, wanting to be a teacher like you. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And we're so glad that you still choose Owatonna as your place to work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our second individual is Holly Jeska. Holly was named the Southeast Minnesota Assistant Secondary School Principals Association Assistant Principal of the Year. Holly has been instrumental in the implementation of our tiered supports for students and the MIN Model grant that Owatonna High School received. That's an attendance program that we're working on. This grant allows the OHS staff to create interventions and supports for students who have behavioral concerns as well as chemical use as well. These are just 2 of the strategies that Ms. Jeska has been working on. However, her greatest successes are the relationships that she builds with students and staff. She is an amazing administrator and an even better person. We are grateful that she is working with us in Owatonna. Congratulations, Holly.
Thank you.
Mr. Elstad, yes, thank you. When we plan these meetings, which is always the week prior, and we were informed that the mission moment was going to include these 2 wonderful educators. It was a very well-deserved, extremely well-deserved. Thank you. Item 5 tonight is public forum. Do we have any cards for public forum? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on. Item 6 tonight, you had in your packet the enrollment report. Does anybody have a question for Mr. Elstad or members of his staff as it relates to the enrollment report? One red cell in that one tonight. Okay. We're going to move on. Item 7 tonight, which would be discussion items only. First up would be board forum, and we will start. Jace, we're going to recognize you, and I'm going to ask the board go around the horn, but I'll kick it off by sharing with you, Jace, that from the time that you interviewed for the position, and we had a lot of very, very good candidates in the time that you interviewed, and you really rose to the top. And in the time that you have been here, I found you to be very engaging and very attentive. You're a thoughtful young man, and you always seem to be very well prepared, not only for the meetings, but when we have a chance to talk offline, you always are extremely well prepared for what your school board activity has represented. And from this perspective, I wish you all the best in your future. I'll open it up. Any others that would like to offer anything?
I can jump in. Jace, it's been a joy to work with you the last few years and watch you develop and grow. You've been a gift to this board and to our district, using your voice in a variety of different ways. And so thank you for choosing this path and choosing to want to do this, and good luck in the future. And remember to call your mom, and not just for money. Okay.
Maybe just a word. So congratulations, Jace. I was also part of your interview process, and I remember it quite well. I really appreciate how you have helped us, I think, as a board, grow the position that you're filling, if that makes sense. It's a relatively new role, and I think you've helped us kind of inform and expand what that role could be, what it might be for the future, and set, just a great example for your peers. And we look forward to seeing who else fills your shoes down the road, and of course watching and waiting to see what the future brings for you. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, I'll go. I've enjoyed your updates, particularly the magnet speech team, things that you're directly involved in, being so connected and being, willing to articulately share all of your opinions as we go through meetings. I think it's been really a big bonus for us, and best of luck at St. Thomas and all the things you do after this.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you on the board. And anytime you would share, it was like having our own reporter here, which was fabulous. You will be missed.
And likewise, I have probably known you the least, but have been thoroughly impressed by your ability to give input and share thoughts and opinions. And great work.
Good. And with that, Jace, congrats.
Thank you.
We're going to move on. There were school board committee meeting reports that were a part of your packet. And very quickly, I'll touch very lightly on the facility meeting. There was an item that came up in the facility meeting report, and it has to do with our ability to make some dramatic improvements to the HVAC in one or a couple of our schools. And there's some timeliness to it because there are some state dollars that would be of huge assistance to us in this project. And consequently, it's a big enough project that we will take time at our next work session and do a deeper dive on all of that. So more information to come on that. Any of the others that you would like to comment on your policy or finance reports?
I don't think we have anything. Policy meets monthly, and so we have not had a working meeting, since our last board meeting.
Okay. With that, we're going to move on. There was a work session report. That was just a quick summary of our last meeting. Anything to add with regard to that? I don't think there was. And then item 3, which would be policy revisions. You had an opportunity to take a peek at some of the policy revisions that are coming up in this next one. Any questions that you might have noticed right off the bat? No? Okay. We are going to move on. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Elstad for some administrative reports.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. The first order of business I'd like to do tonight is we are joined tonight by Representative John Petersburg. And Representative Petersburg, if you'd like to come up to the chair, I want to recognize you formally. I have had the unique opportunity for the past 7 years to work with Representative Petersburg as he represents our district in the Minnesota House of Representatives. And I can honestly say that Representative Petersburg is one of the most attentive legislators I've ever worked with. There's typically an exchange of text messages. There is a conversation at the beginning of each year. We were able to meet, if not once, maybe a couple of times to go through key issues. Truly a representative of our district. And I can't thank you enough for the work that you have done on behalf of our students and staff here, because you truly are responsive and you are attentive to our local needs. When sometimes it might be easy to not do that, you step across the line at times to make sure that you're representing the people that live here, and for that I'm grateful. And so tonight I just wanted to take a little time to recognize you for your 12 years of service, as you'll be retiring now after this last session. But I just want to publicly thank you for that, Representative Petersburg.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I got the notice that I wanted to be recognized, and I said, I think Jeff already knows who I am. But anyway, I appreciate being in the hot seat here. You're absolutely right. You know, I spent about 10 years on a school board, Claremont and Triton, and so education has always been important to me. And it's one of the things that I, after reading the Constitution, realized that the funding for K-12 is the state's responsibility. You guys' job is supposed to be developing curriculum and all the other stuff, which apparently the state thinks that they can do better than that. And I do wish, though, as much money as we are sending to education, it would sure be helpful if it didn't always have mandates attached to it, because that doesn't really give you any additional money. All it does is require more things to do with the money that you're given without really spending the time to know what is important district-wide, regional-wide, et cetera. And so I've been very much a pusher of that. I've never been on any of the education committees, but I sure have talked to a lot of people that have been on those committees. And it's something that a lot of people understand, that we need to do a good job with our kids because that's our future. We need to do it, and we need to help them become well-adjusted. We are concerned about mental health issues and all the other things that seem to be growing, even though we seem to be doing more and more to that. But that's an ongoing problem that will have to work. I also just wanted to say thank you to each of the board members, being that I've been on the board, not here, but in other school board, the amount of work that it requires of all of you to put that in, the care and understanding how you appreciate the children that you are responsible for. It's very important that you know that we, as a local people, that we appreciate what you do. Nobody ever agrees with everything 100% of the time, but we appreciate you willing to put in that sacrifice to do it. So thank you for that. Thank you for this time. Representative Elstead, Superintendent Elstead, I didn't even mean to demote you.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, right.
But Superintendent Elstead, I've always enjoyed speaking with you, and the few times that you've been up to my office too, it's always been a good time to hear about what's going on, because as much as I'd like to be an expert on everything, I can't be. And so it's helpful to have that information. And of course, Mr. Chair, I've known you for even a longer time, and I've always had good relationship with you too, and so much of you across the table I do know personally. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for recognizing me. But thank you. Thank you.
Just a couple of other updates for you tonight. I'm going to do a full-blown legislative update at our June 10th session. There are a number of things to unpack, and we're still trying to kind of unpack all of it. So I'd like to push that out to the 10th of June at our work session, and we'll work with board leadership to plan that accordingly. I also want to lift up another department tonight under the leadership of Lori Voles. Tonight we're recognizing Lori and her team and the finance team here that recently received the Association of School Business Officials International Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. This certificate goes to districts that significantly achieve, and it's a reflection of their commitment to transparency and high-quality financial reporting. Lori, thank you for your leadership with this department and for your entire team. The citizens of our school district are appreciative of the work you do to make sure that we are good stewards of the dollars that we are given by them. So thank you for that. And lastly, Jace, you're not getting off so easy tonight. Jace, thank you for your years of service to the school board, as our school board members have so eloquently stated. I have found over the last 2 years and love to watch you grow into the person that you are becoming. You are loyal, and I can't think of very many meetings, Jace, that you didn't attend, and if you didn't, you were always diligent about letting me know well in advance that you weren't going to be there. That's commendable, because I don't know that sometimes students your age are always like that they're diligent and they respect the people they're meeting with enough to make sure that they know that. You are conscientious. You're thinking constantly about how things impact different people. And lastly, you're incredibly thoughtful. I think Mr. Jensen stated it. You share opinions when you have them, but you're very thoughtful. You think a lot about different things, and I'm glad you've been able to share your perspectives here on the board. I wish you nothing but the best of success. Owatonna will always be your home. And know that anytime you want to come to a board meeting, we'd be more than happy to have you here. So, Jace, congratulations, and good luck in the future.
Thank you.
That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thanks. As we move on, item 8 tonight would be the consent agenda. The quick reminder, we are approving the minutes from April 22nd and May 13, disbursement and personnel reports. Any reason for us to pull any of these out and vote on them individually? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that the board approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Eric, it's a roll call vote.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
Jolene?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I myself as an aye. 7-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9 tonight, there are a couple of items that take board action. The first one, item A, would be the resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of probationary teachers. There is a green sheet that is made a part of your packet tonight. Do any of you have any questions for Mr. Elstad or members of his staff? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I move that the board approve the resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of probationary teachers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further conversation? Eric, if you would, please.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
Jolene?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I myself as an aye. 7-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item B tonight, as Jace has seen his time come to an end, we have a new student school board representative. I'm going to ask Mr. Elstad to do some little introduction here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm proud to introduce you tonight to Ayub Farah. Ayub, you can come up and sit up here. You're going to get closer to your spot tonight. In August, you'll assume that spot at the table. As you know, Policy 220 that you approved actually more than a few years back now, 7 years ago, you elected to have student school board representatives serve as non-voting members who are advisors to, meet and work with the school board administration in the formation of evaluation of policies and regulations in the operations of our school system. Student representatives attend and participate in all open meetings of the board, including work sessions. Student school board representatives provide an important communication link with the student body and by participation obtain practical governmental experience. Ayub was a part of a very talented group of candidates that we interviewed back in April. And the interview committee then, after those interviews and some very thoughtful sort of deliberation, chose Ayub Farah, who is now currently a sophomore at Owatonna High School, to serve as our student school board representative for the next 2 years, along with Aaron Baker. And so he'll be serving as a representative during his junior and senior years. I'm introducing you to Ayub tonight. This is an action item that I would request your consideration on tonight. Ayub, if approved, will be joining us formally at the regular meeting, at the work session in August. Will be his first official meeting with us. So Ayub, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for taking another risk in leadership to serve in this capacity. And you are among a very, very talented group of candidates that interviewed this time. So thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity.
As long as Mr. Elstad had mentioned the word leadership, it's always fun. As I look across, I see Julie Sullivan and Katie Kudron, who were both integral in the part of where you were when you were at the middle school. And when Ayub interviewed with us, I sat there and I thought to myself, why, I feel like I know this young man. Well, we knew him because Ayub was also a recipient of the Kyle DeCam Leadership Award and selected with that. So leadership is deeply ingrained in your DNA. We're very happy that you're going to be here.
Thank you.
With that, would one of you please introduce the motion for this?
I move that Ayub Farrell be appointed as student school board representative.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor with an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Ayub, congratulations.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Ayub.
Item C tonight would be policy revisions. This is the second reading. A couple of items in there that you'll see that it appeared to me as though that the READ Act was a new policy, the online instruction was a new policy. Anybody have any questions for members of the policy committee as it relates to these new policies? Hearing none, would one of you happen to have the motion queued up?
I move that the board approve the policy revisions as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item D tonight would be the reallocation of compensatory revenue for the 24-25 fiscal year. Lori Voles is here and would be able to answer any questions for you. As we got ready for this meeting, we were struggling to try and remember as to whether or not this had been a board action in the past. Thankfully, Lori was able to determine that we do in fact need to approve this, but if you would please just kind of give us the bird's eye view of how some dollars made their way into other schools.
Absolutely. Mr. Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Elstead. Just to give you a little background about compensatory revenue, it is actually a formula set by the legislature, and it is driven by the number of free and reduced students that we have regarding free and reduced lunch, so economically disadvantaged students. And the purpose of the funding is to be used for educational supports and enrichment to support their education. And so the allocation between the buildings for next year, that was calculated by MDE probably back in January or February. And so with some research and discussions with MDE, the legislation does allow us to reallocate some of the dollars from one site to another to best fit the educational needs. And we do have to keep 80% of those dollars that are generated and earned at the particular school site there. But it does allow us to move up, some of those dollars up to 20% between one building to another. And so what our goal was, as we were analyzing what we've been able to accomplish with compensatory revenue, even this year, so we have a couple of our elementaries this year have counselors in place, and we wanted to strive so that each elementary would have a counselor. And so to do that, we needed to reallocate some dollars, next year's funding stream, so that Lincoln and Washington would have enough dollars then to hire a counselor. And so MDE requires this reallocation to be approved by the school board, and it has to be approved by June 30th as per regulation. And of course, I wanted to bring it to you like tonight so that I would have that board approval as I'm bringing the next year's budget to you in June for approval. That way we'd have all this in alignment before I bring the budget to you for approval for next year.
Thanks. Any questions? No, hearing none?
I would just make a comment that the Finance Committee did have an opportunity to go into depth with this, so I appreciate all your background and education of us. And that was probably now 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've had quite a period of time to discuss, and we did that, so thank you for that work.
Would one of you happen to have that motion queued up?
I move that the board approve the compensatory revenue reallocation for the 2024-2025 fiscal school year as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item E tonight would be compensation and benefits. Thank you, Lori. Compensation and benefits for individual director. That would be the cabinet employees. Mr. Elstead, if you would, please.
Yeah, so these are the 6 employees that are part of the senior leadership team, called our cabinet, senior cabinet. This is the last bargaining group that we are bargaining with, and I would ask for your consideration. I do work with both Chris and Lori. We do a diligent search for like positions in districts our size, including our conference. And just to note that the percentage of increase is commensurate with what was paid to our other bargaining units in the district. If there's any other individual questions, I would turn that over to Chris for her expertise.
Any questions? Okay.
I move that the board approve the 2023 to 2025 salary and benefits package and employee guideline changes for individual cabinet employees and authorize the chair and clerk to execute the individual agreements on behalf of the school board.
Second.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item F tonight would be an extended trip request to Peru, June of 2025. Mr. Elstad, if you would.
Yes, this would be an exciting opportunity for our students in our Spanish program. I believe this is Nikki Snyder-Roberts, who is looking to offer a trip to our students that are in Spanish to Peru. And so, again, as you indicated, it is June 12th through the 20th of 2025. Because they're leaving the country, they do need to have board approval for this trip to be planned. Now, I would say this, these requests are put in understanding that the trip, if it falls through, it falls through. But they do this early enough so that they can get this approval as one of the first steps in the process.
Questions?
Mr. Olson, I had just one minor question. Do you know what EF stands for? I'm assuming that's the organization that will handle the touring. Do you know what?
Yeah, it's,
Education first.
yep, education first, yep. Which is, they offer, they're a tour based, they do a number of these and to different countries. And so, as you indicated, it's education first is the acronym.
Thank you.
Large catalog of
Yeah,
available tours.
nice.
I don't know, I've seen it, I guess.
Good for them.
Good.
Maybe just one clarifying question. I know she says maybe 12 is her hope, but it appears that there may be opportunity for increments of 6. Is that
That's
kind of
correct.
how you understood it? So it could
That,
be
yep,
larger than a 12.
yeah, the tour size is kind of monitored by groups of 6.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I hope, yeah.
Hope
Nice
they make it.
opportunity.
Absolutely. With that, do you happen to have the motion queued up, or does somebody have the motion?
I
Eric
do.
does. Here we go.
I move that the board approve the extended trip request to Peru.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Finally, item G, gifts to the district. Mr. Elstad, if you would.
as you note in your packet, there's a number of gifts that are dedicated in this particular gift to the district session to the NHS Color Run, which was a direct fundraiser for our Thriving Minds. Thriving Minds is a very unique and student-driven club or student group that started to recognize students that have passed away because of suicide. Thriving Minds is very much into a suicide awareness, and I'm so proud of our students that have recognized this need. It's the largest growing student group that we have because students are stepping forward and taking charge of what their future looks like. And if you look at the picture that is up here, this was a memorial walk for Dylan Lowers. That's the number of students that were part of the Thriving Minds. And again, that doesn't encapsulate all of this. There are many more students that are part of this, but I'm very proud of this organization that our students started. This had nothing to do with adults. It had everything to do with students activating themselves to make sure that their community, and especially the student community, are aware of suicide and suicide awareness. So again, a number of those gifts are coming tonight to recognize that. And certainly, when I see this, our community is incredibly philanthropic, especially when student groups like this start because they love our kids. So that's it.
That's terrific. Very nice report with regard to the gifts tonight. One of you happen to have that motion ready to go?
I move that the board approve the resolution for acceptance of gifts as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. One last time, Eric, if you would, roll call.
Yep. Elizabeth,
Aye.
Jolene,
Aye.
Deborah,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and I myself is an aye. 7-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Good meeting tonight, folks.
If I could just make one last public comment, I just wanted to make sure that I make one last public comment. Mrs. Wagner commended me and asked me to share this with the school board. And so as my last comment, it would be that each year OHS Magnet serves in a variety of capacities. One of the capacities is that we compete on a national level for recognition, along with other student newspapers and college newspapers across the country. And this morning, we were just nationally recognized for the 15th straight year. So I think that's just paramount news to share with the school board.
Thanks, Jace.
Jace, thank you. That is good news, and I'm glad that you interrupted and made sure that we took the time for that. Congrats. Besides, it was a little close, near and dear to your heart, wasn't it? With that, I will move that we adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, folks.